Yes, friends, brothers, sisters of the world, gratitude. First of all, I want to share my gratitude from the depth of my heart for the opportunity to be here. This is my second time here, but I want to say that I didn't come for myself. We came here for because of all this power and force in the tent and our friends who basically give their heart every moment. They give all their intentions, all their good desires. So I want to thank the Creator for this, because I didn't come alone. We come because the friends bring us. So I want to thank the Creator for this immense pleasure and great joy that give us all the friends the entire world. Clee, thankful that the Creator allows us to be here. I know you all made efforts. You overcame all the obstacles you had, but we arrived here. And why? For only one goal, to bring contentment to the friends, to bring contentment to our great teachers, our teachers Balasim Rabish Araf, and to all the friends. So all I can say is thank you, Creator, for this opportunity to be here and the fact that I'm enjoying this huge congress to be with you, my dear friends, brothers, sisters. May we be able to continue and continue to come, because here we learn from the source of love that's in you and your great example. We learn from you love of friends, love of others, and to bring contentment to the Creator, to our Creator, to our Maker. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Can you feel it? It is strongly felt, isn't it? For those of you who don't remember, there is this distant feeling. The first time we went hand in hand with our Father, and He took us to school for the first time, there was such great excitement and terrible, terrible fear, an enormous fear, but everything disappears, because after the fence, behind the fence were many children who felt great. Together, they had great time, and that drew our attention. And like this new moment we felt back, then now too is a new moment. I will speak for myself, but I'm not speaking on my behalf. If I'm speaking for Jesus, Silio Pepe, Furfur, Fladero, and Luis, my 10, we're all one. We're all one home. And like we say in Mexico, my home is your home. We want to tell all of you, come in. Come into our hearts. Make it your heart. Do with it whatever you please. Change it. Build it. Let us all do this together. This is an enormous sensation. Great excitement, because today we have it all. Like our Father took us by the hand and brought us to this new feeling, so that He will feel happy, so that He will feel that we are capable of doing so. Oh, we should all have this confidence, this joy, as we just read few moments ago. Everything that was in the past doesn't matter how it was. It's all new now. The Creator is responsible, not for just for what happened, but also for what we have now. Now it begins. Now it ends. There is no other place, no other time. We need nothing more. You can put aside your parachute. There are no problems, because what we have here are the friends. And behind the friends, in all directions, there is the Creator. We need nothing more. He did it. He builds it. And He sustains it. He chose this environment for us from the entire world. And the world should know that we are going to conquer it. This is the day where we say that we want this forever, for eternity. We will never ever again be lonely. Rather, we will be one complete whole. My 10 is my life. My 10 is everything for me. Today, it is not mine. Today it belongs to all of you. I want you all to feel it, to live it. I want everyone to be able to live through his 10. That necessity will be given for our heart to be poured out. Here, we have the sons of the Creator who can build everything with one glance, with one intention, the correct intention. The Creator brought us here for a reason, from all over the world. He gave us to a celebration. He brought us here to celebrate, because it is possible. It is doable, because time is running out. But this is exactly when everything starts. Let us all do this together. Hello friends, World Clee. We're entering our last lesson of this very, very special congress, and we're entering with great gratitude to the Creator, to the Colists, to Balasim, Rarish, Raf. All the cabs are friends around the world. They made such great efforts today to come here, as well as to reach and come everywhere that people are gathering. Even those are sitting right now on the computer and with a huge deficiency, and they're adding this lack here. And with all this impression and gratitude now, and this great emotion that are great friends. That brought us here in this gathering of friends. We are going to use this relatively short lesson. It's an hour and a half to add our responsibility. Responsibility for our present. Now, the topic that we worked on a lot is covenant. But why are we working on this a lot? Because it's constantly renewing. And now this entire new feeling is here. Now, we're here PT5 not to give you a lesson. We came here to make a covenant between us, and we're inviting you all into this covenant. And on this lesson, we're going to read an article. We'll have workshops. We'll talk. We'll listen to several passages by Rav. We have all the conditions to draw the reforming light, to dive into the covenant, to deepen it, and every moment to ask the Creator to weld us together, starting with clip number 1. What are we standing before? Before making of a covenant. What does it mean to make a covenant, where we commit to behave this way with one another, in order to stabilize between us a place for the revelation of the Creator? That's first of all. So the connection between us will be as such that it will be similar to that upper force, which doesn't really exist unless we let it be revealed between us. We are building Him. You have made me. It's written. That's why in our work, what do we need? What is all the Creator's work for that we need to do? It's in order to on our own build such a quality, which is called entirely in order to bestow. It's entirely bestow, which is what's called the Creator. This is how we reveal Him, establish Him, make a room for Him to exist between us. We build Him, Mr. And we try to constantly think how we come closer to this establishment. We have the strength to do so. We have the records, all the necessary preparations that we've been through, and as we went through the shattering so that we ourselves would build everything and be rebuilt. This is actually our work. The work is very high. It's very special. It stands before us. It's not just like that we went through all these breakings and all the preparations to prepare us for this current state. Right now, for the first time, we're performing an action in which we make the connection upon all those preparations. The first temple, the second temple where everything has happened to us. Now we need to exert and truly build the connection between us called the building of holiness. This bestow in love which is called Kadasher. And in this manner, specifically in these days, we need to feel to the extent in which this thing is very critical. That's why we're not for no reason going through all these harsh states, unique states, confusing states, both in the world. As the world is truly being thrown from one state to another, you don't know what you're going to have today and what you're going to have tomorrow. This points to the pace of advancement, and also who knows which ways it's moving towards and where it's progressing to. It's like we're just trying to seemingly the world is running away from the bad, and we don't need to be running away from the bad. We need to understand what it means to come to the good. So our direction, our trend is completely different than what is in the world. First of all, we will receive everything that's being revealed in each and of us and all of us in the world, so that from that we will build the correct relations in which the Creator can be revealed, meaning we're looking at what's happening as an opportunity to build, to arrange this network of connections between us. So it will be as a vessel, as a clay, and then the Creator accordingly will be revealed. Right now He will help us build this network between us, which is the clay itself, and then accordingly, to the extent in which the clay will be similar to the light, according to that quality and His inclination, He will fill this clay as well with the revelation of the Creator to the created being. That's how we learn with you. We also learned with you in the introduction to the study of Tenot that this is how we rise from the degree of the world of. We studied yesterday or the day before, that by this we raise up ourselves until the final correction. That's why this foundation that we will now learn of the signing of a covenant is something special, since we need to begin with from the very beginning of our life, from the beginning of our foundation, to be established in order to sign this covenant. To make this covenant, we actually decide and take upon ourselves this path, this goal, which is against our desire, against our nature, completely not belonging to us at the moment. But we start to understand according to the root of our soul that we have. How contradicted it is to our nature, how we have two opposite forms. Our root is completely from the Creator, and all the rest of this evil inclination is the opposite form to it. And how we are between these two forms, these two opposite forces, and trying to connect between them. But the connection is in that we specifically bring them into a clash between them, and through this clash in the we are in the same place at the same time in the same state, we will come to building, to the correction, and darkness shall shine as light, and we will all be revived. It will open up to everyone. It already exists. All these states already exist. We just need to try and implement them to give life to them, to reveal them. So let's read what he writes about this. Dear friends, Rarsher's articles are something so great. Every day when I come to the lesson, I feel like I'm carrying this bag of coarseness and separation of the previous day which I've accumulated during the day. And then we begin to read the entire article, from beginning to end with the friends. And you feel how Rabasher's soul cleanses us, purifies, elevates, making us more connected, like the Creator. It's impossible to explain what exists in these articles. Therefore on this lesson, it was so important for us to read the entire article from beginning to end. We heard from Rob so many times that if we have the right connection and intention, we can ask to connect with the soul of the Rash during the reading. And in order for us to have for all of us the entire world to be in a single prayer, we've decided to do something a bit different. We PD 5 out of enrollment and love. We will read the article for everyone, so you can follow the text. You have it in the study material. Also everyone in their own language. Translators will read for you along with us. We want to be in unison during the reading, to draw the light, to connect, to ravage, to demand the Creator for Him to connect us, and that during the reading He will truly keep our covenant. This is our final strong push that we have to give on the last lesson of the Congress. Find the text, plug in your earphones, open your heart. Let's ask for core connection and read it together. An annulment. We will read it for you. Now, what is making a covenant in the work? It is written that you may enter into the covenant with the Lord your God, which the Lord your God is making with you today. Rashi interprets that you may enter into the covenant as in passing. Thus would the makers of a covenant do a partition from here and a partition from here, and they pass in between. The writing also says there, and not with you alone am I making this covenant, but with those who stand here with us today before the Lord our God, and with those who are not with us here today. We should understand the following one. What is the meaning of making a covenant in the work? That is what does making a covenant give us, by which we will have correction in the work. 2. Why Rashi interpreted that makers of a covenant would make a partition from here. What does this mean to us in the work? 3. What does those who stand here with us today and those who are not with us here today mean to us in the work? What are those 2 times in the work said? What is the merit of making a covenant? It seems redundant, for why are they making a covenant between them if they think that they should love one another, and then because they love one another? What does making a covenant add to us? He said that sometimes they might come to a state where each one sees that the other is not behaving properly with him, and he should therefore hate the other when he makes a covenant with him. The intention is that even if he sees that he is not treating him properly, he will go above reason and say, since I made a covenant with him, I will not break my covenant. It follows that the covenant is not for the present, but for the future. It might be that the love between them will cool off. Therefore, they make a covenant so that the future will be as it is now in the present. The work in mitzvot is primarily when beginning to walk on the path that leads to Lishmer. That is when a person begins the work, he begins in Lishmer. As our sages said, one should always engage in Lishmer, and from Lishmer we come to Lishmer. For this reason, the beginning of the work was with enthusiasm, because he saw that by observing he would achieve happiness in life. Otherwise, he would not begin. Therefore, in the beginning of his work, when he is still working in Lishmer, meaning that when he works, he constantly looks at the reward he will receive after his work. He has the strength to work, as in corporeality, A person is used to work. A person is used to working in a place where he knows he will be rewarded for his work. Otherwise, a person cannot work for free if not for his own benefit. Only when he sees that self-benefit will come from this work does he have the strength to work enthusiastically and willingly. Since he's looking at the reward and not at the work does not matter if a person understands that here he will receive from his employer twice as much as he would receive from working for the previous employer before he came to the job where they paid twice as much. This means that according to the salary, so the work becomes easier and smaller. Accordingly, we should interpret in the work that making a covenant means that when a person takes upon himself the work even in Lishmer, he must make a covenant with the Creator to serve him whether he wants to or not. Yet we should understand on what the enthusiasm depends. It depends only on the reward. That is when there is a big reward. The desire for the work does not stop. But when the reward is doubtful, the desire for the work vanishes and he shifts to rest. That is at that time he feels more pleasantness in rest. It is so much so that he says, I relinquish the work, and anyone who wants can do this work because it's not for me. But making a covenant is when he begins to work even in Lishma. And this now he wants the work, for who would force him to come into the work of the Creator? Now he must make the covenant and say, even if there comes a time of descent, meaning that he will have no desire for the work, I still take upon myself not to consider my desire, but work as though I have a desire. This is called making a covenant. However, we should understand the reason that it comes to a state of descent. In corporeality, we see that when a person works in order to receive reward, there is ascents and descents there. So, why do we see that in the work of the Creator there ascends and descends? We should understand this matter in two ways. One, even in a state of Lishma, meaning when he works in order to receive reward, we can understand that the reward only by way of faith, since the reward for a commandment is not in this world. This means that the reward for the mitzvot, for the commandments, is not given in this world, but he will receive the reward in the next world, as it is written, to do them today and to receive the reward for them tomorrow, meaning in the next world. And since the basic reward depends on faith, as it is written, you can trust your landlord to pay for your work and know that the reward for the righteous is given in the future. It is known that concerning faith there are ascents and descents. Since the whole matter of faith is to believe above reason, this means that sometimes a person can go above reason where faith contradicts the reason. For example, 20% of the faith are against reason, and he can overcome 20%. But sometimes he sees that there has been a change since. Now he sees that faith contradicts by 30%. And to such an extent he's not immune and has no power to overcome and go with faith. Hence at that time, he must descend from his state where faith illuminated for him. This cause him descends and ascends when it does not coincide with his power to overcome. This is not so with the corporeal reward. Faith does not apply to the reward. Therefore in corporeality it cannot be said that he has a descent in corporeal work, since the reward is in this world, and he does not need faith. In a state of Lishma, he does not need anything in return for his work. The cause of the descent is also the reason that he bases his entire work on faith. But there is a difference. It is not about the reward, but about the landlord. That is to the extent that he believes in his landlord, that he is important, that it is worthwhile to serve him, that it's a great privilege to serve the King of Kings who will pay for his work. This means that reward for the work coincides with the measure of faith in the greatness of the Creator. Since, by the nature of creation, man derives great pleasure from serving an important person, as in the famous allegory that if an important rabbi comes and wants to let someone carry his suitcase to the taxi, a porter will certainly take money for that. But if the rabbi were to give it to a student, the student would certainly take no charge for the work, since the service he is giving to the rabbi is his reward, and he would need nothing more. Accordingly, You can trust your landlord means that, to the extent of the faith that he believes in the greatness of the Creator, to that extent is the measure of the reward, which is measured by the amount of faith he has in the greatness of the Creator. It turns out that when he believes that the Creator is great indeed, his reward is great indeed. If his faith is in the Creator is not so great, his reward will not be so great either. It therefore follows that whether he works lishmer or lishmer, the whole basis is only faith. But the difference is this: the faith relates to the reward. In lishma, the faith relates to whom we serve. In other words, the amount of pleasure depends on the greatness of the Creator. As our sages said, Lazel says, know before whom you toil, and who is the owner of your work, who will pay you the reward for your work. As said above, we must believe in the greatness of the owner of the work, for upon this depends his paying the reward for the work. This is the measure of the reward. The measure of the reward depends on the greatness of the owner of the work, who is the Creator. In other words, there is a difference in the pleasure between serving the greatest in the city, the greatest in the country, or the greatest in the world. Upon this depends the reward, meaning according to the greatness of the king. Since the basis of faith, there are ascents and descents. Here, because as long as one has not been awarded permanent faith, there must be ascents and descents. It follows that there could be a time when the love between them cools. For this reason now, and the beginning of the work, he takes upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven to make covenant, so that whatever, or so that whether or not the body agrees to be a servant of the Creator, he takes upon himself not to change a thing. Instead, he will say, I spoke once, and I will not change. Instead, I will go above reason, as I have taken upon myself when making the covenant in the beginning of the work. By this we will understand what Rashi interpreted, that you may enter into the covenant in passing. Thus would the makers of a covenant do a partition from here and a partition from here, and they pass in between. Accordingly, we should interpret that through the making of a covenant, they would imply that sometimes there will come a time when there is a partition from here, meaning a partition that separates this one, and a partition from here, meaning that the other one would also have a separating partition. In other words, even if both of them have a partition that stops the love that was between them, still now they're taking it upon themselves not to part from one another. Instead, they will remind themselves the covenant that they had made, and this will make it possible not to break the covenant. They will pass in between, meaning that they pass over the separation that was made between them, and it is all by the power of the covenant that they had made in this work. This means that a person must make a covenant with the Creator as he began the work now, and now he certainly has love for the Creator. Otherwise, who would make him take upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven? So now he must make covenant with the Creator forever. That is, even if there is a time when he feels that the love of the Creator has cooled in him, he will remember the covenant that he had made with the Creator. But in the work, we must remember that in the matter of making covenant between the Creator and a person, it might be that the love will cool only between man and the Creator. But how can it be said that the love will grow cold in the Creator? That is, since the covenant applies to both, it means that there could be a dissent between the two of them concerning the making of the covenant. But how can we speak of changes or a dissent in the Creator? Balasam said it in both man and the Creator there is the matter of as in water face reflects face to the heart of man reflects man. He interpreted about that what is written. And now if I have found favour in your eyes, let me know your way, that I may know you, so that I may find favour in your eyes. He asked, how did Moses know when he said, if I have found favour in your eyes? He replied that it is because beforehand it is written, you have said I have known you by name, and you have also found favour in my eyes. By this Moses knew that the Creator favoured him, since Moses favoured the Creator, following the rule, as in water face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects man. According to the above, we should interpret that when we say that the love cools within a person and he feels that he is in a state of descent, meaning that now he does not have such love for the Creator as he had in the beginning of his work. This causes him to feel that the Creator, too, does not love him and does not listen to his prayer to what the person asks of the Creator. This causes the person an ever greater dissent because he begins to doubt what is written, for you hear the prayer of every mouth. At that time he thinks that the Creator has no connection with the creatures, which causes him great dissent. As his faith grows weaker every time, it follows that although there are no changes in the Creator, a person feels this way because as water face reflects face, he feels this way. This follows the rule that all the changes we learn in spirituality are according to the receivers. Now we can understand what we asked. What does it mean in the work those who stand here with us today before the Lord? The making of the covenant is whether he is standing today before the Creator when he is at the time of ascent. However, he's taking it upon himself that even should a time of descent come, called, and those who are not with us here today before the Lord our God, when he does not feel that he is standing before the Lord our God, he still takes it upon himself above reason, not to mind anything but to remember the making of the covenant, and this will be unwavering. Friends, we completed the article, and this shower that Rabasher's article gave us is a necessary condition to prepare us, and also to remember that the article ends with the word with the words to work. So our covenant is all the time in the work. And now we're going to watch a clip from the South American Congress in Chile. And just like the joy we've experienced with the Latin friends on the Yes Ever just before the lesson, we need to remember that we are constantly making this covenant with the friends all the time. We're responsible for all the friends. Let's joyfully watch this clip. In such a state that we're in now, we need to make an agreement, a covenant. Rabash writes, it fits us right now. At last, these people gathered to be as one group, under one leader, and with a spirit of heroism, they stand against all those who rise against them, the inner and external disturbances, and certainly they're brave-hearted, with a stern spirit, and they go to triumph the inclination, the war of the inclination against their ego, and their entire direction is just to triumph, to beat themselves and to connect, in order to reach the Creator. That is actually the agreement we need to perform. We sign this, that from this moment onwards, the main thing in our life is to keep the connection between us, and to learn how we are tracting towards this connection between us. We're forming light, and it changes us, and through us the whole world. You agree or not? Come on. There's no question here. Who's for? Raise your hands. Let's see. If we have those that not, that's very good that not. So for the time being we need to think, yes, he's right. So let's continue to scrutinize this matter. Maybe it will be those that will lower their hands. It's a serious matter. Yes, Arvut. We're all the friends. We're responsible for one another, since the surrounding light is what operates upon us from above. We can draw it. It operates only when they all agree to accept the rule, the law of love of others, to the extent of love your friend as yourself, meaning that each will accept upon himself to care and to work for every single friend to fill all their needs, those that belong to spirituality, just as he cares for his own needs. And after they all agree to support one another on the spiritual path, each becomes a guarantor that nothing will be lacking for anyone else, for the others. And they became worthy for the revelation of the Creator, meaning I'm willing to supply to each and every friend support, confidence, worth, love, the greatness of the goal, the loneliness of ourselves. Example, how to go towards the Creator. That's the main thing in the agreement, to give an example, because in this, each is freed from any concern for himself, because they all give such an example. Hence they can observe this condition of love your friend as yourself, since he's not afraid for himself, because he is certain that the entire society are loyal lovers caring for him. This is the law of spirituality. If I'm in a 10, and all the friends in the 10 are showing me that they care for me, they automatically cancel my desire from being worried about myself. Like it or not, I want it or not, I was worried about 1,001 things. Money and work and family and my health and the neighbours and my children, all each and everything. I'm like a little bunny trembling constantly in fear. If my friends are thinking about me, they neutralize completely my fear, my anxiety in any impossible way. Even if I don't want, I'm already used to these fears. I'm used to being afraid. I'm used to being concerned and caring. Suddenly I feel that I don't want to care. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to think about anything. That's how if they were to think about me, they neutralize all my concerns. That's how it is. Try it, and you'll see how this works. Certainly, there are those who are kind of afraid, and we more worried than others. Examine it with them. Each must evoke the fear from the walls of love. You today are willing more than it was yesterday or the day before. To be in the lesson, to be in our vood, to be like a group in a 10. We understand that that's today. Tomorrow it will be different. So what does he say? Each must evoke the fear of the chilling down of the love and connection. And although the mind denies this picture as if there will be no descent, and if you have a way to add in love and one does not, that too is considered a fault, a flaw, as love chills down until he comes to the form of forgetfulness. Therefore, he must invent a way every day, a trick to make it new every day. Meaning, every day I need to renew the connection between us in our mutual support. Since then, through the chilling down that the Creator evokes between us, disregard all kinds of disputes. If we overcome above them, we come to the intensity of connection, such a covenant in which we begin to feel the Creator in it, because this Kli becomes connected in us and suitable for the revelation of the Creator. If two people understand that it's worthwhile to love one another, because then they reach the revelation of the Creator, and then they can avoid all the troubles and problems, because it's how you think in the beginning, only at the expense of our own benefit, just like we are without hiding it from ourselves. For what do I need the signing of a covenant? If we understand that it's worthwhile to love one another, when we make a covenant with the intention for always for the future, where it could be that someone would cause separation between them, so the making of the covenant that we do now, where there's love between them and equivalence between each other, will bring forth the observance later after, when the separation comes. Nevertheless, the connection they made the covenant they made will be forever, and will obligate each and everyone to go into a separation above reason, against the intellect. The mind says, enough already. Wait to distance, to say that the Creator is bringing you disturbances within reason, and they go above reason, and only in such a way can the covenant take place where there will be no separation between them, meaning also the Creator is in the covenant by giving us disturbances, and we accept them as they come from the Creator in order to go above reason. Next, many things. Soon we'll do our workshop, or maybe it's enough. And now the questions. What form of connection does there need to be in the group so that we will reach such a power? And according to this power, the Creator will begin to be revealed. And then this power, this intensity, needs to be even more and even more and even more, to grow this way 125 times. And in this intensity, we will discover 125 times lives greater, everything according to the compression between us. So what conditions do they need to be between us in the 10 in the matter of the covenant and our? That's the condition for connection. What are they, the conditions? Okay friends, now we're going to enter a workshop, and the question is, what are the conditions for the covenant that needs to exist among us in the tent? Again, what are the conditions for the covenant that needs to exist among us in the 10? 8 minutes. Conditions we need to set. How do we behave, act in the 10? What do we do together? What don't we accept? First of all, the most important thing in the 10, I think these are the morning lessons that we commit to coming to, and we'd like to give each other a good example always. First of all, we need to remember what our goal is. Just as we heard, the goal is to make a place to establish the in order to reveal the Creator. That's our goal, and for that we make a covenant between us. We heard Rob sing, what does it mean? That I'm willing to supply every friend support and confidence and love and greatness of the goal, an example how to go towards the greater, and thus actually the covenant, the immediate injection of the sense of confidence and drive for the goal and these are things that we can do. Look, it's not like we have some source from which we can take and give to each other, but if we want, like we talked about it on the previous lesson, to ask for the other friends, that they will have the drive, that they'll have the inclination, the inspiration toward the goal, that it'll be important to them, then that determines everything. A friend doesn't need anything else from the friends besides for them to give him the feeling that he is capable of achieving the goal. And we know that even if we can't, suppose we can't achieve it, we're not measured for success, but we're measured for the effort that we make. Like he writes in the article about love, friends, how much effort do we make to reach that goal with all the means that we have? And we're measured especially for the effort that we make, the yearning that we bring to the tent, from all the different states that we go through to lift the goal, to give the friends the power to put in their effort, and together, that's as a 10 we can reach the quarter, which is eventually a demand of the Creator to keep this covenant between us. A covenant is a means that we take upon ourselves in order to attain the greatness of the Creator in adhesion with them. In order to reach this goal, the covenant says that above all the states, all the time, the entire path, until we reach complete adhesion with the Creator, we're together all the time, above all different states, the burdenings. When we're in uplifted spirits or whatever we do, we remind ourselves about the goal. Ups, downs, doesn't matter. We push each other in order to do one thing, attain the goal for which we have actually made the covenant between us. The covenant starts with each and everyone. Each of us needs to make covenant with the Creator. Like Rabish writes, like weather or water is face to face, also is the heart of man. Afterwards we enter the group in the tent. We make this circle. The circle is like a well. It's the well of the 10, and in the water of the well and the centre of the group, the Creator reveals his face. They reflect our intention to be like him. It starts with a covenant of each of us with the Creator and ends with a revelation of the Creator inside the group. Right? These are exactly the conditions. We have the covenant. We have our food. When Rav was asked about it, what's your relation to the rabber? She said it's like you're right, when you get married. It's their root. It's our commitment to hold each other. Ask for the Creator to reveal himself in the hearts of the friends. And each of us does whatever he can, whatever the Creator gives him, to the measure in which the Creator allows the tent to connect. First of all, a person needs to take upon himself to do the work of the Creator, even not Lishma, but his desire is to eventually reach Lishma. There needs to be faith in the greatness of the Creator, and we need to remember that the reward in the work is the faith in the greatness of the Creator, and we seal the covenant for the future, not for the present, that in case we don't feel like it anymore, we won't feel like working in faith in the Creator anymore during the descent. Anyway, to do this work in faith above reason, and to continue, in order to break the walls between us that separate and stop the love. Yeah, we understand that no one can free himself from prison. No one can reach spirituality by himself, and we have to support and help each other, in that we come closer and closer to each other, and we more and more connect. We make an effort in that, and we want to complete each other. Then that's the between us that we can help each rise above all the different states that are revealed to everyone. Friends, dear friends, we scrutinize the conditions. Now, we're talking about the covenant. Felt like the entire Congress was a preparation for it. Let's focus after this workshop. So after we've scrutinized the conditions between us a bit, each of us nonetheless has different questions, because a covenant is a commitment. It's something big. We had a very powerful Congress. We want to come out of it with something new. Let's hear some more guidance from Rob and advance toward that. The article talks about the covenant, the commitment. What does it mean to commit, or sounds like some kind of morals or something? The commitment is actually a very deceitful, cunning action. It sort of betrays you, because what does it mean that I commit to the Creator? He controls everything. How do I dare to commit to the next moment if everything is in his hands? You understand the paradox. How could there be a mutual covenant that someone on his part says, Okay, I sign for it. No problem. But it needs to be mutual. It needs to be a mutual commitment. It's not. Even like betrayal. It's like disregarding the fact that he controls and governs everything. You understand the paradox, so have a workshop about that. Okay, so we heard Rav's question. He simply started the lesson. If you remember that we are here in a very fateful state, and it became even more since that lesson that was recorded, so we want to reach a covenant. But he raised a certain question. Now we're going to ask it and we'll discuss it in the workshop. How is it possible to commit if there's none else besides him, and he controls everything? We'll discuss it in the workshop between us. How is it possible to commit if there's none else besides him and he controls everything? 8 minutes. It's really a good question because it says I'm first and I'm last. So what do I have to commit about? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, it's also said if not I for myself, then who is? That the entire world was created only so that we and the work will be able to discover this thing called none else besides him. And that work is here, between us. How does he say it? In the end of the article, he emphasizes it. According to the value of those who commit, all the changes that we learn in spirituality is all according to the value or the measure of those who receive it. So, whoever feels there's none else besides him and it controls everything. Bless, easy, God bless him. He has nothing to worry about, and whoever's not probably has more to do and to add from himself. That's the thing. We talk from within the vessels, and when a person says there's none else besides him, there needs to be a vessel for that. If there is a clay, then well, that's probably some kind of contradiction, but probably there isn't, because then you see that everything's done by the Creator, so the thing is the clean. If a person's not aware of it, then just like he makes effort to bring to win bread or to bring food and eat for the family, the same way he makes the different efforts, the same way he makes all these efforts in order to bring into demand of the Creator out of the understanding that he is the only one that can bring him that covenant. Yes, a person needs to recognize that there's none else besides him. It's a matter of knowing, of recognizing. It's not enough to say there's none else besides him. I need to know that I have to raise myself to that state of none else besides him, be connected to him, attribute all states to him, and understand that he's operating through me in reality. And if he does operate through me, then all I can do is appeal to him and ask every request that rises. Keep the covenant, keep the connection, give us our vote. But we need to start with him, and in the middle, it necessitates our recognition of it. For me, a covenant is one in which I say that every state is given to me that the Creator gives to me is perfect. Why? Because that state brings me a correction. It brings a correction with it. So to continue, if every state is a correction and every state is another degree towards the final goal, then we need to accept it as the good who does good. He's first, he's last, he's also putting these thoughts into us and those desires and the feelings. That's it. Just like the friend said, we need to feel it in order to understand the sentence. Right now, we're in an ocean of love among the friends, like Rob said on the previous clip, that we need to feel this kind of fear that the love might cool down or disappear, and that's why we make this covenant between us and the Creator's also inside that covenant, so that the love will not cool down, because tomorrow we're going back to the corporeal world, problems, trouble, thoughts. But let's keep the connection between us. Let's keep the love between us that will always be together through all states. Yes, we put forth there's a covenant from below, a covenant from above. We do our part as created beings, our work in the group in connection. We want to show the Creator that we are serious, that we want to go all the way, that we want to be in a complete demand, in a demand for the entire, not now, not later, not a little bit at a time, but with a complete demand. A complete demand is out of connection, since we ask together for everyone, and then we'll truly discover that the Creator is in control of everything, and shows us what the quality of bestow is. We will feel it, right? We all the time hear that the Creator is the good that does good. No one else besides him, but the Creator doesn't want for us to just cite it. He wants for us to feel it. And that's our work to feel, to give our half a shekel. Build that our root with the help of which we can connect, build the Creator between us, and then really delve in that, feeling that there's none else besides him, and that his quality is bestowed. All together, all our work we do between us, the covenant, and we don't have to be too concerned with the Creator will be a partner in this covenant. We need to be more concerned with us wanting to be in a covenant between us and to ask him, because if we will probably discover that it doesn't go exactly like that. Like I said, there's two kinds of covenants. One defines the greatness of the reward, and one defines the greatness of the Creator. So one is the difference between Lishma and Lishma. So if we want to move from a covenant in which we have personal benefit, then it's the one that has the force, because just like in every normal society, but if we want to make a spiritual society in which the prayer will really be for the friends and not for myself, for that we need his involvement. A person naturally doesn't want to commit practically to nothing. The question is, how can you commit? Seemingly you can't, but nevertheless, we as a 10 need to feel and convince the Creator that we do want to commit. According to the lineup, we're supposed to say all kinds of things to prepare you for the next clip. But now there's just gratitude in the heart. There's only gratitude. Huge gratitude for what we have here and now, and a little more prayer and request to be under the light, under the guidance of Rav, the writings of Rabash that will change us, that will teach us to love. We're continuing now to another piece from Rav. We're going back to Rav. We're washing ourselves with Rush and Rav's explanations and the reforming light from Rabash's article, What is Covenant in the Work? Balisam said, what is the virtue of a covenant? Because seemingly it's something redundant. Because why did they make a covenant between them, since they came to the opinion that they need to love each other? And since they do love each other, what does the covenant add? And it said, since sometimes we can come to a state where each of us sees that the other does not behave properly toward him, so he needs to hate the other. And when he makes a covenant with him, then even if he sees that he doesn't act properly towards him, then he goes above reason and says, since we have made this covenant, I do not breach it. So the covenant isn't for the present, but for the future. That it could be that the love between them might cool down. That's why they make covenants, so that the future will be just like now in the present. Yes, but actually it's important for us to this to be sustained all the time. In corporality, it's as if made a covenant, or they signed something, or made some other signs, their body or on a piece of paper, verbally, and it seemingly exists. We know how these things that don't obligate a person in any way, and spirituality also. The thing is that if we want it to happen, we must constantly sustain it, and in all the degrees, in each and every point where we rise, we perform the same degrees like in the first degree, like in the first state, meaning in order to reach that initial state, we need a connection between us, above our ego, and the points in the heart that will connect together to one point, which is only possible with the reforming light, with our effort, with our outcry, and so on and so forth. Yes, all those conditions of the ARF, it's the same on all the degrees. The difference is only in the conditions that we make, but that we build are tense. In each and every state it's tense, it only the different stages of intensity. Hence this concept of the covenant that we today tried, and pretty well we went through, we ploughed it, got to know it. If we were attempt to continue and sustain, constantly hold on to this, that desirable form that must be before us constantly, meaning we want to each of us to feel all the time how he's carrying himself, and how he's asking about himself, and so on, and sees that he has no chance from these questions to even rise to ascend. Then he understands that he has to ascend. I'm telling you what I feel in the point of the covenant, that why yes, we have Abraham, yes, what's written about him, what did his friend, what one of his friends say to everyone when he went to consult him. He says, you're 90 years old, you ready? What are you going to sorry yourself? What covenant, what are you doing there? How could it be? Yes. And the Creator said to him, no. You need to rise up specifically above this and to define your contact with the Creator. And that's how we are, meaning I'm telling you that I too feel what. The same questions, the same thoughts are sent all the time, the same seemingly, only with a greater burdening each time. And I heard from Abash also the same. The method is very, very methodical. And it is all possible to be done under the condition that, after you're coursed with such thoughts, what's with you and what will you have, and what and how you and so on and so forth. What is this dark thing from bitterness, from all of life? What did you get? You didn't succeed. You didn't attain. And the others are more and you're nothing. And if we don't rise above this, above, where a person erases his eye and raises only this point above him, he has no answer and no chance, no possibility to reach something not egoistically, but in truth he's pushed to this in the F in beginning by the help against him, and that's how we reach the covenant. Every 10 here is like climbing a mountain on the way to the king. And like when climbers climb, you know it's like Rob said, we climbed 10, that's it, we stick a spike and a stick in there, and again, and now we need to give that. We need to hammer it, that this will be our covenant, that we need to put our heart now on the table in front of the friends, and let's go in a circle. When my turn comes, I look at the friends, I open my heart to them fully, I turn to the Creator through the friends, and I tell them, what am I asking for them? What do I ask of you for them? Through them, I ask to be for you the such and such and such. You complete the missing. Each in his turn looks at the friends, opens his heart, and says, what do I ask for you? What do I ask to be for you? Let's do it from the heart. I'm asking attention to the Creator for you. I am asking that I will be where that link, the help that will help you reach adhesion to the Creator, and to know how to bestow, how to nullify, and to know how to lower the pride. So I'm asking you to reach there. Even we have to ask many times above reason, and at the moment the desire isn't precisely there. You need to ask what to know for you to support you so that you will reach the goal. I'm grateful to the Creator for that you exist. I'm asking that you will love the Creator in every state. As I'm asking the Creator for you to be a friend, I'm asking the Creator to give everyone a heart of flesh, to bring all the friends closer to Him, all of you closer to Him, that He'll teach you what love and bestow is. And I'm asking to be for you a conduit that transfers the light from the Creator to you, so you'll be able to connect, so you'll be able to ascend and raise the correct prayer, so you'll be as one man in one heart. That is between us, and to reveal the Creator to be close to you. I'm asking to be as a friend to you, a supportive force, that the Creator will give me the opportunity to be here as a good example for you always, and that He'll have the strength to rise above all different states, and for you to also bestow, each according to the root of your soul, that we will feel the lacks of everyone, each of the friends, and that each will be able to complete all the lacks of all the friends, so that we will come closer and closer to the Creator. I'm asking the Creator to rid you of all the concerns of this world, so you can engage only in love of friends, and for you to be able to build the Kli to be 110 Kli, that the Creator will dwell amongst us. I'm asking the Creator for you that you will have an opening of the heart and importance and the desire and drive toward the goal, and that the goal will always be great in your eyes, so much so that in every state, no matter what you feel in the desire, you'll have the strength to act, to come closer, to do inside, to take steps toward the goal, and that you will do it joyfully. Amen. And you can't even deny what's this incorporation that's happening here. Although we're here as a 10, and we will raise a request to the Creator, we should raise this request to create, to supply His arf, if we could say it this way, towards each and everyone that came to the Congress here, and that is everywhere in the world. So a person will have the strength and the forces to demand only the upper force, each with their 10, each with their society, and for it to give the whole immense world Kli, to recognize and bring contentment to the Creator and truth. And we want this as a 10 to demand from the Creator. Demand from the 10 to from the Creator for all those who participated here. As a result of that, we might be able to then raise a request for the whole world. I'm asking for the Creator to open this, longing for Him for you. So you're burning, and you have this constant flame, and even if one goes down and is extinguished, the other one rises. We'll have enough fires in the tent, so we'll be able to ignite us all anew, and sufficient fire in the tent. We just need to discover it. We discover it from the connection between us there in this friendly, this social connection. That's what Rar said. We just need to enter inwards, find the inner spark in the ten, and ignite it, and connect our yearnings to one deficiency, to one heart, and be together, always together, because that's where everything is together. And I'm asking for you to be the Creator's emissaries, and that you will lead humanity to Him, and ask for us to have the quality of bestow to fill you up with it, and just to fill up on what Shai started. There is a tremendous mechanism here of people from all over the world that are making such efforts that you can't measure really. Okay, beloved, we're continuing now. Let's concentrate, let's convene. Our requests, our need to commit, depends, it's hanging in the air. We want to continue with a melody, and to let this melody to take us to the place where these requests connect. We will start with the nigun. After a few seconds, Owen will read for us the words of the covenant of the continuation of the lesson from which we started, that we only hear it, so that we will be able to be pure, transparent, and hear only with our heart the words of the covenant of Ramel, formatting us, and then Rar will continue and take us even deeper into the point of the connection with this 10 into 110 with the Creator in one point. Let's let this godly nigun with the words of the coolest into the silence between us, and we will do a good news that the friends have taken upon themselves to keep for the connection of Kucher, for them all to become as one man and do this work, the holy work, to be each as all, doing this work together. And this is what they have accepted upon themselves, to do this work, not in order to receive any kind of reward, or for any other reason, but only for the correction of the holy and the correction of the whole of Israel, in order to give contentment to their Maker, and they will have no reward from it whatsoever, but from that they will merit more such corrections for the connection of the Creator, and the study will not be considered for any part of the covenant as something personal or particular only for one of the friends, but for everyone together, and they will have the complete intention for the correction of the holy, for the correction of all of Israel. We always have a problem. Where is me? Where is the environment and the world? And also with the perception of reality. We always have a question about it. Who are these friends who are opposite me? Is it the friends? It's not. A friend part of my soul. And how should I relate to them if it is? So they're more important than me. They are lesser than me. They are human beings, or they are just my inner qualities that are presented before me in such a way, in such images, and so on. It's a problem how to combine this perception of reality with the establishment of the covenant, but rather only when I specifically relate correctly to the form that becomes more clear in me that it is all one, and there is nothing else besides this one, and all of the forms only show me how much I'm not yet in the right focus, how much I haven't yet tuned my vision so it will see Israel, the light, and the Creator as one, that I and everything around me and the Creator are as a single point. This is the point of the covenant. This means that all in all we need to see that this one that exists from the beginning of creation, and it becomes scattered in my eyes, but I bring it back to one by constantly working on the correct perception of reality, and by that I keep the covenant as Israel, the Torah, and the Creator are one. From this state, let's maintain our concentration, alertness, and watch a piece of a recording of conversation with love which took place this morning. Hello, how are you? I'm good. We saw that you were watching the lesson. Downstairs the congregation. Yes, Congress. So what does it mean to be a proper participant in the Congress? If a person knows the topic of the Congress, and he wants to connect into it, and then he wants to participate. Oh, maybe we should read. A person must always examine himself, the purpose of his work, that is, in all the deeds he does, if the Creator will receive contentment from that, because he wants to reach equivalence of form with the Creator. This is called all your actions will be for the sake of heaven. That is that. Everything that a person does by that he wants the Creator to enjoy it, as it is written to give contentment to his Maker. And as for the will to receive, we have to resist it and tell it, I have already made up my mind that I don't want to receive any pleasure because you want to enjoy, because with your desire, I must become separated from the Creator, because the spirit of form causes separation and distancing from the Creator, and man's hope should be that, since men cannot break free from the rule of the will to receive, and because of that he is always in ups and downs, therefore he is expecting that the Creator will reward him by lighting his eyes and will give him the force of overcoming so that he will work only for his own benefit. This is as it is written. This is what I ask of the Lord. Here I seek here means the holy Sheena, and one would ask that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. I wanted to ask, what can we do now in the Congress to bestow contentment upon the Creator, to do his will? His desire is that you will be a good kid. How can I be a good kid for him to enjoy it? Take There's None Else Besides Him and read it. I still don't understand what it means to bestow really. I want to, but I don't know how to bestow upon the Creator. What does it mean to bestow to the Creator to do what he wants? I don't know what he wants. For that we need to read how to be alert to and making sure that the covenant is kept above everything else. If we fall into the shells to a state of self-love, how to rise above that? I think that the fact that you feel that you are falling, this fall in itself gives you an awakening. Is there a covenant between us or not? Do we need to help each other? Yes. How? That everything that you do, you want to learn from the friends. Can I ask the friends for help that they help me, guard me? Can I demand that they protect me? Your friends? That's the 10. Yes. So ask, what is it that you feel that you will lack? I ask you to protect me from falling. So how to maintain the right intention? When you hear a friend talking about the greatness of the Creator at every moment, I think that as it's written, everything is clarified in a thought. Only in the thought is there a point and a pinnacle to the Congress. This event, is there a pinnacle to it? The peak of the Congress is that we're all connected, and we don't want anything else later on in the Congress. And when do we reach that peak? When everybody wants it. When they want what exactly? That they will have something from the topic of the Congress. So we can decide that now we're at the strongest point of the Congress and everyone participating or taking some action. Can we define that as a specific time in the Congress? Well, you can say it about yourself, but not about everyone. So this entire assembly, how does it reach its peak with respect to the Creator? We need to be closer to the entire public of Bun. We must, each one of us, must be responsible for the entire neighbor. And one thing is we need to hold each other. In what am I responsible for the whole of, and what is each friend responsible for the entirety of that? He thinks about everyone. How do we incorporate together all of us? How do we come to the feeling that we're all one, 10 merge, dissolve into one thing, in that each one thinks about everyone, that they depend on him? How many thoughts can a person hold to in a moment? He can hold everyone, all of them. So my concern is to hold my 10 and through it everyone, or everyone straight on everyone, including my 10, including your 10 and all of you. Want to feel them, to embrace all of them. And when everyone thinks like that towards each other, about each other, what happens? What outcome are we expecting? It is considered that then in such a way the Creator then clothes inside each and everyone. We need to hold each in that each one thinks about everyone else as being dependent on him. Dear friends, we prepared so much for this convention, adhering to the connecting to the 10, adhering to the Creator. We've prepared ourselves for many long months. We came here, we made tremendous efforts, and here we are at the end of the 3rd day of the convention. Certainly, we are all full of gratitude. A sublime sensation, and we hear the management of the organization of you and Levy, Mel Sanvichoker, and myself. We only want everything to continue, more and more like all of us. And so, Today, we would like to talk about where we are and where we are headed, because we all came to this world without any explanation or the whys and hows, but through the wisdom of Kabbalah we discovered what love talks about, that there's none else besides him, one force in reality, the good who does good, and when we connect to him through the ten and through the connection between us, well, for that to happen, thousands of great friends, the greatest of the generation, all beloved, and each one devoting his soul. We need something organized. We need to have a uniform direction, and that's what we want to discuss today. Result, yes, and in this opportunity, I think that we all feel huge gratitude from the bottom of our hearts to all the points in the heart, to all the friends that the Creator chose to participate in his Congress. Truly, we are guests at the house of the King. We feel this air that he's giving us to breathe. So let's now thank all the participants in the Congress, all the friends from all over the world. We would like to see them now. There are dozens of gatherings all over the world, many groups. Friends, men, women, a huge gratitude to each and every friend who made his unique effort to participate in a Congress. Yes, this Congress, we all feel how special it is, how unique it is. It happened because of the desires of each and every one of us. We simply wanted, and still want, things to be different. For it to come from below, upwards, for it to be the vessel of that they hold in their hands with which they approach the Creator. For that to happen, in this Congress, each one gave his little unique drop of exertion, turning this Congress possible. And I think that we've started doing what love talked to us about, attaining that connection that love prepared us for. We're trying to be as one body. So I need to feel Oren if he wants to speak or he doesn't want to speak. No pressure. We're flowing along. What was new for me in this Congress, it's two things. Not only that, but especially when Rav said that we're connected already in the beginning of the Congress, and all that's left is only to enjoy. I really liked this idea. And the other one is that now we sat in a meal and Rob started searching. He said, somebody's missing. So we said, everyone is here, the whole 10. He said, someone is missing. And I said, the Creator is missing. Said, no, the Creator is here between all of me. The Creator is here. He's between us. That was also a surprise for me. I guess we had a good preparation. So we deserve an applause, everyone. Yes, and as ever in every Congress, we would like to look ahead, to look forward to where we're heading. And we know that we have but one single goal, which is to discover the Creator. Each one individually and all of us together, between us, discovering the one force that exists in reality. And for that we need the means, tools, and so we broke it down into 3 goals. One is to construct the vessel with which to discover the Creator. How can we manage to generate a situation where we generate the presence of the Creator between us always? We heard love say that it exists between us, but now we have to actually attain it. Not to imagine it, to fantasize about it, but to attain it like the Kabbalists, that exists between us. That is our first goal. For that purpose, we need to develop an environment for study, a social environment for each and every person who wants it. Or maybe those who want it a little less. Maybe there's a person who only wants it once a week, once a month. Maybe there is someone watching online, participating virtually, but not yet coming. So anyone and everyone who belong to our spirit, our direction, our inclination, who sees love leading us with every step forward, for us to be able to be with him, to participate with him, for him to be able to experience everything we're going through here. And our third goal is the wider public. Those who don't know about the wisdom of Kabbalah yet, to explain things to them, to disseminate for them that quality of bestow is an influence, and so we perform dissemination for all those who don't know about it, for them to also want all that goodness that we here experience. Yes, so we are in a new era. I talked about it a few times already, that indeed we are implementing something that has never before occurred in history. It's true that it's written in the Torah 3,000 years ago about the tents, and we're now implementing it, and so we can see how to do what is our structure. The structure is forming now, and we see that the majority of our work is in a 10, meaning building this virtual vessel in a 10. I'm assuming that there are very few people here who are not in a 10, and if there are such people, certainly we need to organize it for then, and we see that 10s are not like isolated islands, but rather a 10 exists between other 10s, and this is called a group. It can be a class that you finished. It could be a local group like us here. If you don't know, there are 37 men's tents and of course many additional women's tents, and this gives a broadening of the vessel. It gives support, both from an organizational perspective, but also from a support perspective. Truly emotional support. If something happens, I can maybe move it and change a 10. It's not customary that we do it, but I can do it if necessary. For example, I know it's not only in VAR, but in other big groups. They also meet, like the New York group, the Moscow group, where there is a number of 10s, and of course also each one of us lives in a certain region. There are regions where there are many groups that exist in an area of, let's say, 500,000 people. So then you also belong to an area region, like we know how the friends from South America are connected, or let's say the Europeans. Nevertheless, we have the Italian group here. So we have the Italian group where there is a number of tents, but still they live in a region called Europe. And so, if there is a European Congress, last year we had a Congress in Hungary, and all the Europeans came there. And of course, we all exist together in the new group that, as of today, how many friends came from how many countries? Usually it's between 60 and yes, more than 50 countries friends came here. So, this is the worldwide neighbour and the world group, and the role of the world group is of course enlarging the vessel. So it turns out that I do my work in the 10. This is where I do the spiritual work, where the Creator needs to be revealed. Then I need around me that as a spiritual and organizational support. There will be a few other groups in order to expand my vessel and provide support. And I also need to be in the world I am a part of in order to again increase strength in the vessel. There's no need to explain what it means, because in the past 3 days everybody felt what it is. So words are not necessary, and from that we continue to a structure. It's very important for us to understand how in the new era the structure, the organizational and spiritual structure and the group structure also changes, and I'll ask Wo to talk about that. Yes, friends. Indeed, it is very interesting because there's nothing similar to the Benny group. It's not similar to any business organization. It's not an association or company that works for the benefit of the public. It's a multinational organization, on the one hand global. It has many young people, old people. The most complicated thing is to establish management, leadership for an organization which is spiritual in essence. The purpose is to discover the Creator. Business organizations have this one goal, usually to make money. We're not interested in that. Of course, we need money to help us discover the Creator. But there is a challenge here in how to create leadership, which is many people together sharing power. And so it's not that. How to generate that feeling. We, management, are trying as best we can to preserve the framework and orders that we heard and received from over the years. We truly try to do this and follow as closely as possible to what taught us. And here, there's also a challenge, because maybe each one understands things differently, and I'm certain that there are many students above here. Each one sees things a bit differently, and that's fine. That's part of the beauty for our organization. So the first thing management does is trying to keep the framework, the values, and the path, and I would say perhaps loyalty to the path that Rav led us through. Now we have this one example. That's our dear Rav, and I'm very, very happy that he was present here every moment in the Congress. I felt love sitting there at his table every moment of the Congress, and I'm certain that you did as well. As far as I'm concerned, love was here with us. Thanks to you, thanks to all the friends, thanks to the Spirit. Now, the second structure, perhaps we can see the slide. Yes, the second structure. Exactly. Yes, is the instructors group. We have a group of chosen select instructors, most of them very long-time students, people engaged in working with groups, social work, people who led different programs and they teach. You meet them in the afternoon lessons, you meet them in the morning lessons. These are friends who are very experienced veteran students, and we trust them in the way they teach the wisdom of Kabbalah. It's a very subtle, very delicate thing. Now the third structure, that's a very deep group of people who are the heads of languages and community leaders. Our organization is divided into languages, let's say the Russian language, Spanish language Europe, which isn't one language, but it's one. It's one region. There are many languages there, and so on and so forth. There are other like structures by language, and each one of these has a head who understands the mentality, the culture of the friends who study in those places. Because we live in different places with an atmosphere that's a bit different culture, and so it's very important that even if the method is exactly the same, identical, there will still be some match with the culture of each and every place. For example, Israel is quite a unique place. It's different to everywhere else in the character of the people, the culture, cultural sensitivities, and so on. I guess you understand. And next to them, we have the heads of communities as well. One of the things that are developing in organization right now, we are developing heads of communities, people who are capable of leading a group of people in social efforts and processes, how to manage a community of students. We're now dealing with many blessed challenges around how to create a community that's made up of veteran students and new students combined. And we have a lot of issues with that everywhere in the world. Do we connect the students from the new tens? Do we connect them with the long-time students? Yes or no? And if not, how to generate that feeling of working together, that mutuality? Now, each one is as focused on his tens, and so what is the role of the regional group? Where is my connection to the process of the regional group? And so on and so forth. All these things are being taken care of by the heads of those communities, which are people who have some sensitivity towards cultural issues. They understand the spirit of, and they try as best they can to have this all move forward. And we have, of course, another structure that's the last layer here. Not last in terms of importance, just in terms of this explanation here. Social teams. Everywhere we meet the desire, the need to awaken the society. We need to renew, reinvigorate. We need to maybe pay attention if a certain group, a certain 10 is in a certain state. Maybe they need reinforcement. And so we have these social teams. And sometimes there are problems, challenges between members of 110. One thinks this, the other thinks that. One is displeased, that one wants to leave. Someone needs to take care of all those things. And those are our social teams. And so those are the four bodies. Management, the group of teachers, the instructors group. Then we have the heads of languages, and then the social team, the caretakers. Yes, so I'd like to repeat our 3 goals, and then we will begin to elaborate how this year we're going to reach all these goals. So the first goal is building the vessel for the revelation of the Creator. No less than that. The second goal is that every person who is searching for a meaning in life according to the method of Balaam, we want to build an environment for them. If they want to come to a congress once, here let them come. If they want to come and study in the morning, in the evening, at noon, we want to create conditions for them with a 10, without a 10, just so that you come and get an impression and then cook and advance according to your desire. And the third goal, and that first, if the first 2 goals will come true, we also have to explain to the broadest possible public, to anyone who wants to hear about it, about the greatness of the Creator, mean different words may be, and about the need for connection of people and how peace in the world depends on the connection between us. So this is what we focus on, and therefore our resources are divided in such a way that we invest 90% in building the spiritual vessel, all of our systems, and that we will elaborate in a minute just so you'll understand. We invest them only in building the spiritual vessel, because if we won't reach attainment, we won't be able to pass it on. What will we pass on to the other people? 9% we invest in building the environment for every person, and 1% we're investing right now in dissemination to the broad public. But, of course, these things change. There were times 10, 15 years ago, these percentages were different. As of today, this is how it is. And we received that from the teacher, that indeed the emphasis now is because the time is critical, and we simply have to, all of us, anybody sitting here in one country or another, must reach attainment in order to pass this spiritual charge onwards. So let's see, how do we build a vessel? How is it manifested in practice? Your most essential thing is the morning lesson. That's our main point, where we meet the whole world clear every morning, 2:40 a.m. Israel time. We gather, we assemble all the friends, and study, draw the light together. That's the most impactful time of the day. The entire day is all for that special moment that we share together, where we connect to the sources, their authors, our teachers, connect to our love through a lesson which isn't really recorded, as we all agreed already, when we sit together physically or virtually with the friends of our 10 and the whole world's clean. Those are our means for building the spiritual environment, the love, the group, the books, to combine together into a single mechanism, with which and with the intention that we add to it, with it we draw the light. So we want all of us to participate in that part, for each one to invest his will into it as much as possible. Maybe he could listen to the lesson throughout the day, and if not, we have the morning, the afternoon lesson, where we gather 12 p.m. Israel time, and we continue the sequence of the day. Another point of flight in the middle of the day. Another moment where we don't allow the flame of the connection we generated in the morning to weaken. We want to rekindle it. We want to continue this spiritual routine, the spiritual movement, as much as possible about the lessons. It's important that we will feel now that this great and gentle thing that exists between us in the Congress is the truth. This is the reality. The reality is that we exist in the upper light, that there is none earth besides him, and it is love. And he surrounded us with angels, male and female angels, that teach us how to be in love, and in that we want to be, and rise on the rungs of the ladder more, and in order for us, in order for this spiritual pipeline of life, the conduit of upper light into our soul, will keep nourishing us every day. We have a small congress. It is called a lesson, SH in Hebrew lesson, but also a measure of light that comes down to revive anyone who wants to live on the spiritual level. And from this force that we feel between us right now, each one should promise his soul that he will make every possible effort so that 24 hours would not go by in his world without him connecting to this suckling from the upper light that came down to the world in the daily lesson of neighbour. It doesn't really matter what we study there. It doesn't matter if I understand those materials or not. None of these matters. What matters is that every day in my life, I open up my mouth and my heart and my brain to get this portion of light that comes down to the world. This is the lesson. Let's try to truly be in that. And if I come there, and I'm a part of this great general vessel that has life also, when each one goes back to his home, it is alive. If I also want to be alive, I rise to it. Another thing we have is a means which is much more than a means. It's the holiest place each and every one of us has, and that is the 10. The 10 has become a part of me. It became my entire life, the entire life of a person following our path. Well, it's clear to that person that his only spiritual hope is within the 10. And so it is very important, this very delicate, subtle work we have there on a daily basis, because beyond the lessons, we have an entire life that we live and experience within it, within that place. And it is possible to participate in many ways and take care of the 10, taking on some role, being the daily connection attendant, for example, making sure to push my 10 into spirituality on that day, preparing the meetings and making sure they lack for nothing, reminding them of all the most special sentences, the things that I've said in today's lesson, and I can also be in charge of waking them up for the lesson, making sure that they manage to arrive and in general, make sure they lack nothing that they need in order to invest another drop of effort on our path. I can also take charge of meals that we have, if it's very important. If there's a 10 out there that doesn't have a weekly meal together, you have to insist on that. It's part of the spirituality of the 10. It's like an assembly of friends. It allows you in your weekly meeting to do everything you want, everything you need. You can bring all the most delicate scrutinies there. You can bring the weekly summary. You can do anything there, everything. And the main thing is to be responsible for the 10. To take responsibility, because everything I want to happen to me in spirituality, I need to make sure it happens to my 10, and that takes place in our daily meetings, in our weekly meetings, and it also happens in our monthly meetings. Yes, the monthly meetings. Their purpose is to give us a fourth or 10. We live in a daily cycle. We live in a weekly cycle in the 10, and we very much what that once a month there will be also a broader meeting in the region, in the local group, in the country in which I live. It can be physical, wherever possible, otherwise it can be virtual. The most important is that we will feel that we belong to a supporting circle that gives us power, advice, praying for us if it's difficult for us, and embrace. We need a hug, and this is a circle that happens once a month. This is what we aspire to. That's how we want to develop as an organization, as a world group. It could be with the study cycle that I belong to in Carbu or Mark, or the Spanish learning system, and that is also important. This is all part of the same goal, the construction of the vessel. We need the lesson. We need to work in the 10. We need the meals in the 10. And we need the meetings of the group and, of course, congresses. So what I'd like to say is that, from the practice of the goal of creation, the purpose of creation, we got 3 congresses, have spiritual root, of course. So we have 3 congresses, a world convention, which we see here. The purpose of that is to strengthen our vessel, and we feel that power. Then we have another convention which is local, as we did in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and we have a local regional convention once every quarter. We want to have this convention where people don't have to travel thousands of kilometers, but each one in his area, maybe even in his city. If it's a small country, in his country, where people can meet and practice the principles that Abash wrote for us. So the next convention is the May Convention. As you can see the dates, the 28th through the 30th of May. We don't know yet what exactly this convention will entail. We thought to have a convention intense, but from here on every convention, through to the end of correction, is in a tent. That's for certain. But what form exactly this May Congress takes immediately after we finish our meeting here, we'll start thinking about that. We have this management that works as a circle. We scrutinize our next degree together, so it's certain at the next convention. After that will be regional. We want a big convention in Europe, in North America, South America, and so on. Other areas, for example, for Russian speakers, and so on. But the May Convention, we would like to think together about what kind of convention it will be. Okay, so start working your imagination, and these 3 meetings in any case is what we need to build the vessel Jalad. Yes, I remember that many years ago we would be sitting in a small crowded hall. Some people would jump and talk to Rab, have a conversation with Rab, would talk about things that are important, not important. Somebody would jump and say, we need to have flyers, we need to disseminate this way, that way, go and have a newspaper, whatever. Anybody would jump, I would tell him, okay, go ahead and do it then. It's very simple, and we know that. Why would Rab say that? Because we cannot belong to something, anything, any idea, anything without us contributing something of ourselves to it. There are stages in a person's development. When a person comes to us, in the beginning, he's a student. He comes to campus and he's observing, watching. He's checking, is it suitable for them or not? What out of that is suitable? He compares it with other things that he studied in the past. Later on he turns on and he says, "Oh, beautiful. It's a nice idea, so I'll study a little bit. I'll come." He's still a consumer. Where's the true phase of development of a person when you can see on them that they truly become a part of the greater organization? It's that the point where they come and say, "What can I contribute? What can I give?" Maybe it's my qualifications, my talents in dissemination or in any other way I can contribute to the building here in Israel or to a language, to an idea, through the internet in each and everything on a virtual campus. Everywhere there is always a place to contribute. So each one of us needs to have a role in dissemination. So through your identification with the role, and it doesn't matter what you'll go through an ascent or a descent, and we all went through these things, and we will go through these things, all kinds of ups and downs. But it forces one to keep giving, to keep contributing. We know that one contributes, it's only seemingly one contributes, but it's actually getting much more out of having a role. As we heard from Rob today, each one should be more responsible for the entire public. Responsibility for the entire public includes, among other things, to take on some role in dissemination. Beyond that, if we're talking about contributing, we heard from Mick before how our resources are allocated in taking care of different circles. Then you have to pay mass tithing and donations, and soon we will have an organised study fee. It will be organised and publicised to all of us. All of this, again, it's resources. It's about resources. Money is not something that is sanctified or cursed or praised or denounced. It is simply a means in our world with which we're able to express our contribution to some exalted idea that we want to belong to. We want to contribute to it. We want to do things so that we will reach the revelation, the attainment of the Creator in our life. We are building a spiritual vessel, but without infrastructure. We still live in our terrestrial world. I'll give you a simple example. No philosophy. We are now seated here, 2,500 people. If we didn't have this building with all its infrastructure, you see how from year to year we're evolving. You can see what a beautiful hall we have. Thank you to the friends who built such a beautiful hall. We examined, we checked. You've paid 200 shekels a day here in the exhibition gardens. It would have cost us maybe 5 times over. Could all the people participate? Maybe not. Maybe for half the people it would have been simply too expensive, and they could not participate. So you understand here, where's spirituality? Where's corporality? It's all interwoven. So I'd like you to get to know the infrastructure we're building with the purpose of building the spiritual vessel, because we have no other purpose. So in terms of the infrastructures that we are now engaging in, making them stronger and developing them, as you noticed here in the hall, we added new capabilities from technological perspective, additional screens, and we are now testing adding them on a regular basis. Also in a meal hall, aided lighting on the 2nd floor. We tried very much also to improve it. Clearly, it cannot be perfect and most precise for everyone, but I'm sure that if each one will look into his heart, he will see that this Congress has been very good, a lot of fun. This is what's important, that when the friends prepare the place for us, they do only one thing. They care that we will feel good. We will feel pleasant and comfortable in the Congress every single moment. Another thing we are engaging in these days is we are strengthening the root system. We want to make it possible for more people to connect to it, and that it will be more stable. We felt in this Congress when there was too much load on our infrastructures and we had issues. So we will draw conclusions and make improvements so such a thing won't happen in the future. Another thing we did in their boot system, our dear friends from Russia, they have a limitation in their country that they cannot connect to internet that comes out of the country. So we established an ARIT system inside of Russia. It's called Arvut. And there's one goal, that all the friends will have a place to connect, and they will never reach a state where they want to connect and the door is shut. Another thing we're doing in our archive is we're going to put in it AI-based search, and in general we're taking all of the AI, all of our AI engines, and we want to bring them into the archive and make our archive jump to its next level. So search is more accessible, the lessons are more accessible. Another thing that we're all experiencing over the last month, and also we touched it on a daily basis, is the daily site of our study, material study. One that serves us with the daily study materials and it enriches our history of study. We can go back and see what we learned at every given moment. Enjoy it. It's also for here to serve you. Earlier Gilad mentioned the study fee, so we're advancing very much in preparing the infrastructure for the study fee so that the payment will be differential. It will take into consideration every friend, every man and woman in Israel and over the world according to their local cost of living and all their regional conditions. Tomorrow we're going to do a first test of this infrastructure. It will still not be considered as paying fee tuition. It will just be a test that everything works, and if it works then the tuition will come up to the air. Hopefully very much in the next month or two we will be able to use that. Last thing that we're doing at every given moment, we are living in a world that is totally internet based and the risks only keep increasing at every moment in time. And so we are also operating to improve our infrastructure so that we will have protection against cyber attacks. We will have backups if something happens in one place. We have some other backup somewhere in the world for all of our files. We're doing everything so that no matter what happens, 1. All of the personal information of the friends will be kept, and 2. The infinite treasure of Rav will be backed up in many places in parallel in real time, because that's the treasure we have and we have to keep it for eternity. So we continue building the spiritual vessel, the most important. Yes, who does all these wonderful things, friends? Who are these angels that will soon organize the meal for us? Who are these angels that take care of the logistics here? Who are these angels that are building the websites, the technological websites? Who are the people who are now translating? Who are the people who are managing all of the systems? Who are they? First of all, they deserve a great applaud, a big stormy applaud. Yes, dozens, hundreds of people, even thousands of people are here in a Congress. Someone has to manage them. Someone has to take care of it. Maybe it seems to that it is happening by itself. I do agree with you. There is none else besides him. But we also have work so that there is none else besides him will be felt in us. And so these things are done by many precious friends of ours who have accumulated a lot of experience. As we said before, to work in a spiritual organization is not like anything else. My friend is suddenly my manager. My manager. I disagree with him, but 2 minutes later I sit with him in a meeting of the 10 and I don't quite know what to do. There are so many complexities here in the relations and in general in the subtlety and sensitivity. How do you manage such an organization? And for many years we and many other friends are engaging in these things, and we accumulated quite a bit of experience. And this experience is not written down. You can't explain it in writing. There's only one way to pass it on, and this is truly from one person to another, and we want to start it. We did a process in Israel with a group of selected friends. We have qualified them to be aerial leaders, and we want to start the same thing with friends from the world, clear with men, with women in different frameworks, so that as many friends as possible will have experience in how do you lead processes in a spiritual organization. We want everyone to be like that. We want everyone to lead certain areas. This is one of the things we plan to do, and as you heard, and this has become a hot idea. We all want more and more young friends, young not only in spirit, but also young in age. So we want to find a way how to build an environment for young people. I'm sure everybody here feels very young in their spirit, but in terms of an audience that are young in age, they look for different things. Sometimes they're preoccupied by different things, and an older audience is less occupied by it. And myself, as an older person, I don't see these things as much. But my son, my daughter, people at their age, they look at things differently. So, we want to learn how to build such environments, not only in Israel, but all over the world. And of course to build more and more and more. I don't even want to call it training but practices, but opportunities to empower all of our friends that they'll all be teachers, community leaders, managers, so that we can all grow and make our organization grow to the heavens. When we now speak about goal number 2, which is the construction of the spiritual environment in the very emotional and succinct manner, we together are searching for how to make it so that every created being on the face of planet Earth who wants to learn this divine wisdom will be able to connect to it. For that we have to establish a spiritual environment for them. After one gets to this environment and takes the first course in the foundations of the wisdom of Kabbalah in every language, in every place in the world, to integrate them into a community of students. In a community of students, he will meet each time the new friends who, like himself, finish that course of the foundations of the wisdom of Kabbalah. From there he'll be able to flourish. If he will want to study the method of the tens, he will take on a course of 10. If he want to be a member of a 10, he'll be get a 10. And he will also make sure that the 10 is an environment that always promotes him and supports him and runs forward in the pace that he wants to run. And in this way, we will always make anyone who wants that will be a supporting envelope that will promote them. For this purpose, we established the global community of students also here in Israel and want to develop it as much as possible. So there'll be local and virtual meetings with different activities beyond the study so that people will feel alive in neighbour, and out of that they'll be able to develop their soul. And we continue from here to another point that we've also discussed, that is our messaging dissemination, as Kabbalists call it. Each one of us disseminates inwardly towards his friends, and externally you speak to people you write online. Maybe you're participating in some initiative that we already have working in our dissemination program. But we have many things, many students, some of whom are working in ongoing projects and some which began this year. What's amazing is that every few months, new classes open for the foundational teachings of wisdom of Kabbalah Act. We have courses online and so on. It's amazing that people come and study the foundations, more and more joining. We have a very ambitious project starting, which we were talking about over this past year. It's called the Thought Terminal, the Visitors Center for Kabbalah. It's an experiential track that a group of people goes through for about an hour and a half. Colleagues, people who work together, for example, and they get an initial lecture, introductory lecture through workshops, all sorts of things. They have an hour and a half of an experience where something within them is going to open up, so that center will open this coming year. In addition, we're starting a new project of promoting representatives of Kabbalah. We call them presenters, a number of lecturers who will begin to work on social networks, in the media, in the press, giving lectures everywhere more and more. They'll go out to the wider public and invite in all those who wish to join us here in our tent. Another thing which is actually about to be concluded, that's the series. We watched most of it, the series about life, 7 very special episodes telling the story of the greatest of the generation Balasim. The moment, the series, is where when we conclude it, we'll publish it online everywhere. We'll go with it to festivals and wherever possible so that people hear about our teacher. One last thing, which is also a project that's only growing from year to year, and it's amazing that there's such request for it despite all of the talks and so on. It's actually books, publishing books. We in Kabbalah publish dozens of books every year, translating many books only for this convention. Just for this one, we had 15 new books come out in different languages. So first of all, yes, applause. So applause for all those who write and edit and collects words, all those who translate, proofread, those who print it or upload it, and so on. We appreciate, we idolize. Even if you just write a short description somewhere there, it's all under the heading of dissemination. So let's look at the books we have in Hebrew. we published this book Leash, which is a play on words, for example, but also allegory, famous allegories from Balaam and Dash, with interpretation from Laitman, 2 new books in Hebrew and English. Life as a gift, an inner journey taking a person from the initial spark, the point in the heart, through to the spiritual birth. Short sentences from the Kabbalists which enter the heart immediately. In Russian, we had 3 books come out, 365 prayers. It's a prayer for every day, a source. Excerpt a question for thinking about it. Came out in other languages in this Congress, it came out in Russian now. Laitman did this is a book speaking of Laitman's life with Ash from the point they met and through to the work with their first students, and so on. Now the second book here, this is Balasam's journey in Israel here throughout the 30s and so on, and articles he wrote about the society very much wished to establish, and also divinity between them. This is for couples relationships. Many new books in Russian now. In Ukrainian we have the book of introductions, that's what we call it. 9 introductions from Balsam, very methodical entryway to the wisdom of Kabbalah. In Spanish we have 2 new books. First of all, Shamarti. It came out as a booklet, but also we have this bigger version. You all know Shamarti's Boam Shamarti. Nothing more to add. You can just go ahead and read it. And we have a book for the women about the power of women in today's reality, where Rav speaks about how women can change the orders of the world, leading society in a better direction. Now in French we have Always with Me, Rav's story with the Bash. Now Hakis, Kabbalistic Hakis that wrote very short sentences from Gav, and of course the wonderful fantasy tale about the magician who goes who chuck and creates within us the point in the heart. And this is new Greek, the point in the heart, the point in the heart. In Greek collection of short excerpts from love for each person who asks himself what the point, what the purpose of life is. So you have many new books, many on sale right now upstairs on the roof. This is your opportunity to purchase some, bring you to your friends, disseminate, give them to people, and all of this with everything we're doing. Maybe it's not the right time to criticize, but as far as I'm concerned, we haven't even started to disseminate. Friends, we're about to conclude here. Please make sure that your friend is listening. In your 10, each one should just make sure his friend is listening and not engaging in something else right now. Thank you. Yes, so as far as I'm concerned, this is all just a preparation for broad dissemination, as Balasam asked the Creator to bring him down from the degree that he was in, so that he'll have words with which to write the articles for us. So we break our heads, and we want everyone to be partners in that, how to find an approach to the broad public, because what we have to offer is suitable for all created beings. The fact that we're here, a few thousands of people, then there are other 8 billion people who are searching. And first of all, I think it's the time. Maybe I should blame myself, but we have to do it. We don't find words to explain it to them, not just words, but forms. We have to search for new forms. In short, well, in the end, as much as I try to scrutinize it to us, Rav, everything depends on the first goal. If we will build the spiritual vessel, if we will connect here, for sure the Creator will bring down to us all of these forms, all the possibilities and resources. You can't help it. There is an order. They're in creation. Yes, dear friends, the convention is about to end, but the inner congregation that we do to discover the Creator, that's just beginning. It has to continue with every moment. We're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if we fly to those places, these places, physically. What exists here now must be preserved. And I said we have to hold each other, in that each one thinks about all the others as being dependent on him. We need to hold each other in that each one sees everyone else as being dependent on him. So let's continue holding. Okay, dear friends, before we sing together and take a break, our next event is a meal and a cultural evening, a gratitude evening at 6:00 p.m. immediately after the break. So there will be a special gratitude meal here and all over the world. We're inviting everyone to take the break with joy. The American Cleve is going to lift you to the heavens with special songs they prepared. There's going to be a rave on the roof right now. Then we're going to come back. All of us here gathering and ready for the concluding event of the Congress will come in with inner preparation, with seriousness and joy.